David, apologies for not being here to greet you. As the telephone in the castle is not working due to the recent storm, I have had to journey to the village to communicate with my office. Upon my return, I shall show you to the chapel where you can pay your respects to your father. Yours, Andrew Harrison.
Or maybe I'll just head to the chapel myself, just as soon as the weather clears. Smoking a pipe? I thought that would be beneath her station. Lady Margaret.
David?
May I first apologize for my strange behavior last night? It's just that...
Think nothing of it. You were obviously tired from your travels. Least said, soonest mended.
I don't want to give her another reason to think me mad. This may seem like an unusual question.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't, dear boy.
Have I ever been here before? Is it possible I visited as a child and can no longer remember?
Oh, no. You are a stranger to these walls.
And I have a feeling you prefer it stayed that way. What kind of man was my grandfather?
Oh, he was magnificent. He was handsome, so handsome, and caring.
Caring enough to knock a defenseless child down the stairs.
All was so very different when he was around.
The maid. She seemed to be acting strangely, like she was frightened of me.
Yes, well, she's a simple sort, that one. She has probably heard of the curse of the Gordons the locals like to whisper about.
Curse? What curse?
Just a peasant superstition. I would guess she was worried you'd show the same displays of unpredictable violence as your father did.
I never knew my father to be the violent type.
Oh, there are many things you do not know about your father. This is his doing.
What? But how?
I'd rather not discuss it, David. And that maid should really keep her mouth shut and locate the earring she lost. She's like a magpie with shiny, expensive things.
I shall take my leave, Lady Margaret.
Yes. Oh, and David, the master of the house needs to respect the privacy of those under his roof. Even your father understood that. Sometimes a cabinet is locked for a reason.
I was looking for some documents and Andrew had already gone to bed.
I would still appreciate you respecting the rules of this house. You're not its owner quite yet.
If the old man I saw was really my grandfather Edward, then the boy must be... I need to find out if that really was him I saw. If the old man I saw was really my grandfather Edward, then the boy must be... I need to find out if that... I'll give that a spin later. This'll make it easier to carry. The boy. It must be. But I need to be sure. Perhaps the names are on the bag. My family. Yet they're all still strangers to me. Lady Margaret. She looks happy. I can't imagine her smiling like that these days. Grandfather Edward. Just as he looked last night. The boy. How did he provoke Edward into throwing him down the stairs? What's this? Looks like it's drawn in... blood? Regardless of what I told Miss Cranon, these visions are like nothing I've ever experienced before. And they're getting worse. If the old man I saw was really my grandfather Edward, then the boy... Lady Margaret?
Yes, David?
I saw an old photograph of a boy in the other room. Something tells me she wouldn't be happy if she knew I had it in my pocket.
Ah, that was taken in 1894. Young Johnny, your father.
You can remember the exact year?
It's a funny thing when you reach my age. You can remember dates from decades ago.
But not what you had for breakfast.
Maybe others can't.
Who, may I ask, were the others in the picture?
That would be your Aunt Clara and your late great-grandmother, the last true Countess of Scahandew House. And my dear Edward, of course.
I noticed my father had a scar on his face. How did that happen?
Falling from a tree, perhaps? I can't recall. But your father was a clumsy child.
Can't recall. But you remember the date the photograph was taken? I shall take my leave, Lady Margaret.
Yes.
some fresh air.
Master David.
You could tell it was me.
Your footsteps. I ken the walk of everyone here.
Well, that's rather incredible.
Aye, that it is, laddie. That it is. I hear better than most. See more than most and all.
Father had a similar toolbox. Back when he still fixed things around the house. Probably didn't look much better before the storm. When you talked about what they did to my father, what did you mean?
You shouldn't have come back. You canna go through what he did as a bairn and no be sick.
So his hospitalization was justified then?
Not for me to say. Before you think of putting down roots here, you should think on what the poison grown here did to your father. You can?
No, not really.
If you dinna mind, this door will no mend itself.
I'll leave you to it then. Must be hard to look after the plants when you can barely see them. Steady enough vessel, if you trust your swimming skills. I can see why Rory likes this place. This view should ease even the most troubled soul. Nobody left to mourn the dead, or care for their graves, it seems. I've seen this before. In the painting. This is the grave I saw in that waking dream or whatever it was. The grave my father buried something in as a boy. Who's buried here? If I could just... these vines are too thick. I need something to cut through these. Locked with a padlock. Andrew will have a key, but I'm not keen on waiting for his return. Rory's tools. A hammer, a tenon saw, a bolt cutter. All a bit rusty, but in good order. Rory's tools. A hammer, a tenon saw, a bolt cutter. Rory's tools. I need a break from this family. Let's see if I can get into the chapel without Andrew. You wouldn't have to have a chapel key, would you?
Ain't set a foot in there for years, and I don't intend to either.
That'll be a no, then. May I borrow your bolt cutter?
Maybe. If I ken what you need it for.
The graves. I would like to tidy them up. That way I can pay my respects properly.
Is that a fact? Why's that then?
They are my family. They deserve to be remembered.
Fair enough, laddie. Just grab it yourself, will ye?
I'd better have a look at the grave from the painting before sunset. Better. Cecilia Shaw, nee Gordon. Aunt Cecilia. Now, let's see if there's something really buried in here. Another piece of the castle model. Another part of the model. And it's stained with what seems to be old blood. Why did Father bury this when he was a child? How could I have known that something was buried here? I don't remember Father ever telling me about this grave. Father must have buried the chapel piece here for a reason when he was a boy. But why? And whose blood is it stained with?